Hello. It's been a minute. I know. It's been a while since I've been up here. But I didn't want to just keep on pushing out the same type of content, if that makes sense. I wanted to start out with something that wasn't too heavy with the edits, but also something that I knew that I could enjoy doing while I was recording. So I won't say the reaction video era, this channel is over, but I do want to start making other content. So this is the start of that other content. I wanted to do something that I knew I would still enjoy, but be able to do consistently so that I could still be somewhat appealing to the algorithm. So this is what I came up with. I'm going to be reviewing different types of shows and mangas. I really decided to start this because I just got into anime and manga when the pandemic started. I feel like that's how it was for a lot of people who didn't watch anime at first. We needed something to do, I'm not gonna lie. So when I first started, I hadn't seen a single speck of One Piece, not a single speck. I wouldn't say not a single speck of Naruto, but only like the Tsunami Naruto. And when I actually got the time to sit down and watch these shows, I figured out it was something that I enjoyed. The characters was something I could relate to. So I feel like that's something that I can be able to share with you guys. If you're one who has been watching me since the reaction videos, I have a special admiration for you because I really didn't think it would be something people would be interested in, but I still got a couple of subscribers off of it and a good amount of successful videos as well. So I want to greatly thank y'all for that. But I feel like that's enough for the intro. That's a good explanation. I feel like we're gonna get into this. So for those who have saw some of my shorts, this is pretty much the general direction I'm going to go into. And the most successful short that I put out so far was me discussing how Johan is probably one of the best antagonists of all time. And hopefully, by the end of this video, you may not agree, but you'll at least understand a little bit of why I feel like Johan should get a little bit more respect. But for y'all who are asking who Johan is, what show is that from? It's from the manga/anime called Monster. Now, I feel like Monster is, I don't want to make direct comparisons, but I'm going to. It's like a detective type of thing. When I was reading this, I felt a direct parallel, like I was watching a more realistic version of Death Note. The difference with this Death Note is that we weren't watching this from Kira's perspective. We are watching people getting bodied from a completely different perspective. But I'm getting too ahead of myself. First, I'm gonna give y'all a little review for those who have seen Monster or read Monster. You'll know where I'm coming from. But I also want to share a little bit of the story, and hopefully by the end of this you'll want to check Monster out for yourself. So to start it out, this story, the setting is in Germany mostly, but mainly the European area, and this is during and after the Cold War. That's the main timeline you're going to be really witnessing this. So I would say that having a basic knowledge of the European history in World War II will make it so much easier to follow the story. Even if you weren't that good in history, it still will be easy to follow along, but with some of the events that happen, it aligns with the time period and the things that the stuff happens, if that makes any sense. You'll see what I'm talking about when I make examples. But we'll start off with the main character, Dr. Tenma. Now, Dr. Tenma works at a hospital. He not only works at a hospital, but his top boss, he's engaged with his top boss, and looks like he's right on the path of being promoted, and possibly he just looks like he has a really bright future ahead of him. It's shown that he is like a really good doctor. Like, I don't think he messes up once in the story, but he has the girl, he has the job, he has the promised future. So while he's working, he gets done with this surgery. So he was about to work on this one patient, but the top boss told him, I need you to change gears real quick because we have a famous opera singer who's in critical condition and we need you to work on him right now. So, he's just doing his job. He changes gears, works on the opera singer, and it's a success. He saves the opera singer's life, and he's praised for it at the end of the day. When he's done with the surgery, he runs into a Turkish woman who is upset and almost screaming at him because her husband has passed away. And he wants to know, what does this have to do with me? Like, why are you coming at me for this? And the reason is because she knew that he was supposed to work on her husband, but he ended up going somewhere else instead. And because he's the best doctor in the facility, the other ones just weren't as qualified as him to work on the man. So she feels rightfully upset, and he understands her concern because he starts to have this question like within himself, and he brings it up to his girl as well. But this is like the question that the doctor has within himself is a question that you'll see is probably one of the main themes of the manga, which is all human life equal, or do some deserve to die more than others? With this, like I said, he goes to dinner with this girl thinking about this, and he asks her about this as well. And she flat out says that all lives are not created equal. And, this doesn't really rub Mr. Tema the right way because he thinks otherwise. And, I feel like this is true as well. But a good thing about this story is that even if he does feel this way, the author is going to push this theory to see how much you really do agree with. So the next time he's at the hospital, he's about to work on this child who just got shot in the head. And once again, the boss wants him to stop what he's doing and help the mayor who is in critical condition. Now this seems like the same scenario. The mayor in charge of the city and a boy who probably die if he doesn't work on it. Is the mayor's life more important than the child's life? Or are all humans equal? Now, this time, he decides to disregard what the boss is saying and continue working on the child because that's who he was working on first, and no life is more important than the other. And this is the decision that starts the story. Now, I haven't mentioned it before, but these doctors are very corrupt. All the things they want to do is for publicity to help their hospital out, help get them coverage, help get them known, help get them higher in the social status. And I want to say, I hope all hospitals aren't like this, but it's sad and I wouldn't be surprised if they are. Now, because he was the most capable doctor at the hospital and no one in this facility is as good as him, the people working on the mayor try their best, but unfortunately the mayor passes away. Remember when I said this man had everything? He had it all looking out for him? This one split decision, even though he feels like it's the right decision, is the decision that makes him, in a nutshell, lose everything. His girl throws the engagement ring, he loses his guaranteed promotion, he's blamed by all the other doctors for the mayor's death because they had to scramble and fill in for him. And I feel like the worst part is when the top boss pretty much cancels his promotion, he also declines any chance of putting any letter of recommendation for him to go to another hospital. So pretty much, he's stuck in the same position he was at. Are we good? All right. But pretty much, as I was saying, he's stuck where he's at right now. And it doesn't look like he's going anywhere. I forgot to say, he was successful with the proceeding on the boy, and the boy survives. He's under a coma right now, or unconscious. But the doctor's life is now kind of in shambles. Now, he did what he felt like was the right thing, but because everything around him is so corrupt, of course he feels like he's getting punished for this. Now, he's speaking out loud to the unconscious boy, pretty much saying that they're all corrupt, like I said, and that at this point, it would be better if they all would just die. Now, for context of this boy, they find out while watching the news that the boy is part of the Liebert family. Forgive me if I say that wrong. His two foster parents, who were found shot and killed at the scene, had a big part to play in East Germany before they fled to the West. So it would make sense for them to get assassinated. But the twins were left alive. The boy was the one in critical condition, and the girl was unharmed, but left extremely traumatized. Like, she remembers nothing at all. Now, this is kind of where I was saying, well, little hints like that is why I say, like, having a basic knowledge on European history helps you follow the story better. Because at this point, the Berlin Wall is still up. So there is West and East Germany, and they had fled from East Germany because that was the more oppressive side, if you would say. So the very next day, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting a little ahead of myself because they see this on the news, and the boss sees this as a cash grab for publicity, like he always does. And he takes the boy and the girl out of Tenma's supervision. When they try to have like a twin picture with the girl who's severely traumatized and the boy who just woke up from his coma. He brings him in the same room, and it is not the reaction you expect at all. Like, the girl completely freaks out, and the little boy is just left frozen with tears dripping down his face, holding out his hand. So it was definitely too soon to bring them together, but the top boss, the doctor, he does not care because he's trying to get as much money as he can. He's trying to get as much publicity. Like, look at what my hospital has done. So the twins are now out of Mr. Tenma's control. He's just the lackey or whatever. So he goes to the bar, gets drunk. It's like, man, forget them, man. All this guy wants to do is this and that. You know, getting drunk after work. That's like a tradition for some people. But now, the very next day, all of the top bosses of the hospital are found dead from eating poison candies that were left by the boy's hospital bed. And both of the twins are missing without a trace. The only individual who directly benefited from this incident? You want to do a guess? That's right, it was Dr. Tenma. And because all of the bosses that hated him mysteriously died, he automatically gets promoted to the chief surgeon because he is the most capable doctor in the hospital. And because those people who were purposefully holding him back are no longer alive, he gets promoted to chief general surgeon. This is another instance where you gotta know basic European history, because we get hit with a 9-year time skip, and I was confused for a little while because 9 years have passed. There is no East and West Germany. The Berlin Wall has fallen. So now there is no Berlin Wall, there is no Soviet Union, and there's like other slight changes to the European. You know how the borders changed a lot throughout time. So Mr. Tenma has lived his life very, very well. You know, his co-workers are joking on him how he needs to get a new girl, but this man is just solely focused on the bag right now. So he has another patient that he's working on named Mr. Yonkers, and he is told to be a witness of some of the couple murders, as they would call it, and he's recovering at the hospital after we're shown him running out into the street at high speed and getting hit by a car while he was running from something that he described as a monster. And it's clear by the way he's reacting, he kind of seems out of it. It seems like this man has just witnessed too much for a human being. So just like 9 years ago, he is still getting questioned every now and then because this case has still never been solved. After 9 years, nobody found out who poisoned him. I know Mr. Yonkers opens up to him a little bit, and that was just the wrong decision, because the moment he talked about like a little bit what he was dealing with, the stuff that he saw that he said he still can't really mention, just like 9 years ago, a doctor is found poisoned with candy, the same type of candy as 9 years ago. And now Mr. Yonkers is missing. I almost said without a trace, but Dr. Tenma is able to trace Mr. Yonkers back to this abandoned building. And as this man is crying, bleeding for his life, when Tenma finally catches up to him, he sees someone walk out of the shadows, and he meets the monster with his own 2 eyes. This monster is the boy that he saved 9 years ago. After killing Yonkers right in front of him, he pulls out the strap, shoots him a couple of times. He walks past him and tells him he was supposed to die that night after disappearing into the shadows once again. Now, because Tenma benefited the most from the doctor's deaths, he, like I said, is at the top of the suspect list, and he's remained a suspect for that long. So because another doctor had mysteriously died in his hospital for the same reason without a trace, the top investigators believe that it is him. They have no evidence or clue that Johann had anything to do with it. So Dr. Tenma, realizing what he has done, what he has caused, he goes on the run and decides that he needs to kill this monster, or he will just continue to hurt more people. I could keep on. That is just like the first, I would say, like 10 to 12 chapters, and there's like 160 something. When I feel like more people are interested in this, I will definitely put in the time to review whole mangas, but I feel like this is enough to where you know a general direction of where this story is going. And if that sounds interesting to you, I more than encourage you. I almost ask of you to check this story out, because I feel like it's a really good perspective on things, and it's also a really interesting read. I didn't watch the anime. Usually I do, but for this one, I just read the manga. And the amount of twists and turns that absolutely blew my mind made me solidify Johan as, in my opinion, a better character than Light. And I feel like if he had the Death Note, everything would be dead within 2 months tops. I saw some people doubting this, disliking it, and I know there's Light fans and all that. Can't even get mad at it. Death Note is iconic. Death Note is a classic. Death Note will probably always be more popular than Monster, just because of the appeal, and it's just so much that Death Note has to offer. And you gotta just respect great manga at the end of the day, great writing at the end of the day. And I feel like these both greatly display that. So how I'm gonna close this out is I'm going to try to spitfire just a couple of examples or a couple of scenarios throughout the story that really put him in front of Light for me personally. Now, I won't be ruining the story, so none of this will be past chapter 100 at the end of the day, because if y'all actually want to read this, I don't want to completely spoil it to the point where like there's no point in reading it. So I'm gonna just give a couple of examples of why Johan is over Light for me. So we'll start with the beginning, right? Johan's parents were part of a social experiment in Germany to make like a superhuman. So they picked like the top female suspect, the top male suspect, and had them mate together. And that's how Johan and Nina were born. So after they got genetically picked, Johan was placed in an orphanage that is also meant to make the perfect human or super soldier, however way you want to look at it. And while he is in this orphanage that's designed to make superhumans, just people like who are above the average human being, he literally massacres the whole orphanage, despite like 1 or 2 people, destroys a majority of the evidence that this orphanage even existed. Now, all of this he did before the time skip. This is him at 10 years old, before he was saved by Dr. Tenma. So now, let's think of how he puts his hand into the underground business at the age of his teens. Anybody who runs into him, sees him, has any knowledge of his existence, dies of suicide, poisoning, or natural causes. To the top investigators who knew like countless pieces of evidence, certain investigators who literally did not forget a single detail, like they had literal photographic memory to the point where he knew the exact details of everything that happened decades ago, and still was unable to put together the existence of Johan. He was still able to stay under the radar, and he didn't exist to top investigators until he wanted to make himself be seen. In any other scenario, anyone who saw him without his intention of them seeing him would die. Now, if this guy got a hand on a Death Note, because this is him without any powers, without Like, some he would kill himself, but most of the time he said, sometimes when there's oil on the ground, all you need to do is add a little flame, see how it catches on. But yeah, without a death note, he literally still caused some of the most peaceful towns to massacre each other just off of the art of his manipulation. But I'm not gonna I feel like I've already gotten into it too much, but that is my reasons on why you should watch Monster and why I think that Johan is one of the greatest antagonists ever written. If you enjoyed this, if you got something out of this, if this made you want to check out Monster even just a little bit, do me a favor, like the video, comment what you think, and if you disagree with me on something, definitely comment with me as well. I'm always open to criticism and all that, so just let me know. And if you want to, if manga or anime is what you're into, consider subscribing to the channel. It helps me out, and I got more content coming for y'all. I can assure y'all that. I appreciate all the support, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.